Falcon and Winter Soldier premiered on Disney Plus today, so let's talk about it. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Arjun and I'm a huge fan of the MCU. Falcon and Winter Soldier was one of my most anticipated Marvel projects in general, and it was my most anticipated Marvel show. So I was really excited to check this one out. So let's get into my general thoughts and I'm going to tell you what I thought about it. So right off the bat, like I said, this is my most anticipated Marvel show, so I was looking forward to it a lot. And for the most part, I thought this was an action-based show. I thought it was going to have some humor in it, and for the most part, it's fully action. But it wasn't. It subverted my expectations. And I mean that in a good way. Instead of giving us more action and humor throughout the episode, this one explored Bucky and Sam as characters. And because they both really didn't have much character development in the movies, this one is able to dive deeper into their characters and show us what they've been through and how their day-to-day life is like. How one of them goes to therapy, one of them has family issues. So we see all of that, and we're able to connect with them in ways we weren't able to in the movies. So I was really enjoying that. I really liked what they did with those characters. And the action, when it was there, it was really good. Again, this episode specifically was not an action-based episode. For the most part, it dove deeper into the characters, and I really enjoyed that. But the action, when it was there, it was fantastic. The production value for the entire show is great. The humor here and there was really good, and I saw myself enjoying it for the most part. So yeah, this was a great introduction to this series. Alright, now I'm going to go into my spoiler review, so if you haven't seen the episode yet, leave. So this episode starts off with Falcon on a mission. So basically we have Batroc, the guy from Captain America the Winter Soldier, and basically he's holding a guy hostage, and him and one of his partners have hijacked a plane. So Falcon has to get the hostage and he has to help the hostage escape. So he's doing that. There's some great action during this whole sequence. We see Falcon flying, he goes into the plane, he punches people, he uses his wings as shields. There's a lot of hand-to-hand combat. There's a lot of stuff going on. And then a few minutes later, it's a chase, and everyone's flying. People are flying through helicopters, flying through planes. There's so much stuff going on. There's helicopters shooting missiles. And all of it looks really good. None of it looks fake, all of it looks realistic. I don't know if all of it's CGI, but for the most part, it looked like it was real, and I really liked that action sequence. And in the end, Falcon gets the hostage and saves him. And basically, while all of this is happening, he has a partner on the ground who keeps telling him what to do and kind of helps him. So that was a great opening sequence right off the bat. And honestly, it's pretty cool to think about the fact that we're getting that on a TV show. 10-ish years ago, it would be pretty hard to pull that off even in a movie. For the most part, you could do it, but it would be hard. And now you're able to do it in a TV show, and that's just awesome. So basically after that, he goes to a restaurant type place with his partner. He's fixing some of his tech. I think it's broken or something, so he's fixing some of his tech. He's talking to his partner, and they have a nice vibe. Like, they actually feel like they're friends, they know each other, and they just have nice back and forth with each other, and I thought that was a nice little touch. So basically then they go on to talk about the Flag Smashers, who in the trailers were presented as villains. So I wonder where that's gonna go, because basically they set them up really well. So their backstory, the Flag Smashers' backstory, is basically that they liked the world during the blip, and that's an interesting ideology. It's not something I necessarily agree with, because, you know, basically half the world half the world died. So I don't agree with it, but it's an interesting concept, an interesting foundation laid down for the TV show and them as villains. Then they also talk about Captain America, and then and then his partner tells him a conspiracy theory about the fact that Captain America was actually on the moon, and he's at a base, and that's a nice little conspiracy theory, and it's gonna have some sort of impact on the rest of the story. I'm pretty sure it is. Then we cut to Washington, D.C., and Sam is giving a speech about Captain America's legacy and how he doesn't feel worthy of the shield. So he says that the shield belongs to Captain America, Steve Rogers. No one else can have it, according to him. So he really feels that way, so he turns in the shield to a museum. So over the internet after Avengers Endgame, there's been a lot of division between fans about who gets the shield, Falcon or Bucky. So even Falcon, in that sequence, he's unsure of himself. He doesn't feel worthy of Captain America's shield. That's why he turned it into the museum. And I feel like that's going to be his arc throughout the whole show. He is going to start to feel worthy of the shield, and that's when his arc ends. And then we cut to Bucky, or the Winter Soldier, and he's fighting a bunch of people. He's punching them, he's shooting them, and then basically, as we get to the end of it, there's an innocent person. He's just trying to open a door, and the Winter Soldier shoots him. And then Bucky wakes up, and it's just all a nightmare. And then we see Bucky go to a therapy session. And this was not a normal therapy session that you see in a movie. In a movie, the therapy person just listens to the guy or girl, whoever it is, tell them what happened. But in this case, she is interacting with Bucky, and she's calling him out on things. And it's a nice little interaction, and it calls for some funny jokes in between. She knows that he's not being honest, so there's like just this nice back and forth and dynamic between them. This scene also, as they go deeper into the conversation, it kind of lays the foundation for Bucky's character arc. So it just kind of establishes him as this guy that is not defined by his past, because in his past he did some awful things. He was a good guy, and then he turned into the Winter Soldier. He killed people, he murdered people, he was an assassin. So we see that he's not defined by his past. He's trying to move on, but people don't understand that. So I thought like it laid the foundation for his character arc really well. And then there's a nice little subplot about Bucky and an old man. So basically, Bucky has been hanging out with this old man lately, and they're kind of helping each other out, you know, talking to each other and kind of like friends. And I feel like they had a nice relationship. It felt natural. It didn't feel forced. It felt like a good relationship, kind of like in real life. And then the old man tries to set Bucky up for a date. And Bucky's like, what? Wait, what? What's happening? You shouldn't do that. So he kind of feels weird because he has not been on a date since 1940 or something, because that time he fought in a war and then he turned into the Winter Soldier. This is the first time something like this is happening to him. So it's pretty weird to think about. And it also called for some nice jokes here and there during the conversation. And after that, the old man starts talking about his son and how his son died. Basically, he says that his son at one point disappeared. He went to some sort of work thing and he died. The fact is, he doesn't know how he died. He doesn't know how his son died, which is just kind of heartbreaking, and it's a very sad sequence. And this was actually setting up something. I didn't realize that yet at this point. And I was actually surprised because I'm pretty good at putting the dots together for most TV shows and movies. Unless they're like WandaVision, because that's just unpredictable. But for the most part, I'm able to do that, and I wasn't able to do this. So I thought that was pretty cool. It was good to kind of feel surprised when the scene came. I'm going to talk about it in a bit. So basically after that, Bucky goes on his date, and he's pretty awkward. Like I said, he hasn't been on a date since 1943 or something. And he is very awkward, so it leads to some hilarious jokes, hilarious moments. It's funny, and they have nice interactions. Even when he's being honest, it feels like a joke. And when he's being dishonest, the way Sebastian Stan executes it, it also feels like a joke. So it's kind of funny just how that interaction plays well. Basically after that, they start playing Battleship because they're bored. And while they're playing, the girl, she starts talking about the old man and his son, and like how there's no word for someone's son dying or daughter dying, and there's always a word for like someone's parents dying. And it's a pretty emotional conversation, and Bucky, something happens to him and he just leaves. And then this is where I started to understand that Bucky was the guy that killed the old man's son. The nightmare he had, it wasn't just a random nightmare. That guy he killed in his dream was the old man's son. And that's just such a sad sequence. He goes to the old man's house and he opens the door and he sees a picture of the old man's son, and that was just such a heartbreaking scene. It made me really sad, and like I was just so sad during that sequence. And we learned that he's not just randomly there. He's there to make amends. He's trying to move on. He's trying to become a good person, a normal person. He's trying to make amends, but it's not happening because his body, his mind were stolen. They were used for things that he would never do. And in a way, he's responsible for that. But overall, he's not responsible for that. Hydra was what made him do it. So it's a very sad, deep character study of him. And I hope it leads to a happy ending in the end. And then this leads us into a plot line about Falcon's family. Basically, he goes to meet up with his sister, and he talks to her, and they have a nice conversation at the beginning. And this leads, and then we learn that Sam's sister has financial trouble. Their family has financial trouble. So we have Sam's sister, she's trying to sell their family's boat, and Sam, he's like, no, don't sell it. It's our childhood. It's our family's legacy. So see both sides of the argument. One's logical and one's personal. So they have an organic relationship. They actually feel like brother and sister, and their conflict, it feels natural and it makes sense. And I appreciated that about the show. And the fact that we have this guy like Falcon that flies and does missions that's not relatable to us, is having financial trouble, is just, it's kind of funny to see that we went from that high stakes to low stakes, but it's also stakes, and it has a lot of impact on his personal life. And then basically they go to the bank. Falcon says he'll help, Sam says he'll help them trying to solve the financial trouble. So they go to a bank, and the banker there, he's just the worst. He's a fan of Falcon, and he tries to do stuff. He tries to take selfies and stuff at the inappropriate time because they're talking about taking a loan, but the banker cannot give them a loan because Sam didn't have income for the last 5 years because he was blipped away. He was snapped away. So it begs the question, how does banking work after the blip? So I feel like that question, it's kind of an interesting question. It's not like the thing, it's not something they need answered but it's something that makes sense, and it's a question that you're like, it's still fascinating to think about. So basically, they don't get the loan and they leave. Anyway, after that, we see Sam's partner. Basically, he's on a mission. He's looking for the flag smashers. So he follows them and he sees that one of them is robbing something. I think it's a bank or a house, I don't know. So he's robbing something and there's a bunch of people with the same masks on, so that's kind of like the distraction. And he tries to arrest the guy that's stealing, and I think he has superpowers. This might lead somewhere. Maybe he's a mutant from the X-Men or just a mutant in general. And he's just punching people everywhere, and he beats up Sam's partner. He tries to arrest him, but he has superpowers, so he beats him up. And that's where I was like, maybe it's introducing mutants into the MCU. That would be pretty interesting, and it's a nice little theory. So yeah, and after that, Sam's partner calls Sam and tells him about what happened and shows him the video. After they talk, Sam's sister shows up and tells Sam to turn on the TV and watch the news. And he turns the TV on, and basically, so it's a politician, he announces a new Captain America. And honestly, to me, it wasn't surprising because I saw the trailers and they kind of revealed that. But it was a great gut punch because, you know, we see Falcon give this huge speech about how only Steve Rogers deserves the shield. And then later on, we see this Walmart Captain America with the Walmart suit and holding that shield. It's a great gut punch, and just the way Anthony Mackie expresses his feelings during that scene was like, he's just sad, he's disappointed in the government. And it's a funny sequence because of the face the new Captain America gives, but it's a gut punch, and it ended on a note where I was like, I need more, you can't just end the episode, and the episode ended. The time for my final thoughts and predictions. I really enjoyed the episode. Be sure to tell me down below in the comments what you thought of it. And anyway, I personally thoroughly enjoyed the episode. It has a great production value, really good action sequences, and it dove deeper into the characters really well. I'm very excited to see where the show goes next. Again, for my predictions, I do think Flag Smasher guy that's stealing stuff, I think he's a mutant. He or she, whoever it is, I think it's a mutant. And if that's how they're going to introduce mutants into the MCU, that'd be pretty exciting. So yeah, that's my predictions. Be sure to tell me down below in the comments what are your predictions, what you thought about this episode, how you think it's going to play out in the series. And if you enjoyed my review, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel for more content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.